for intensification. Hurricane Melissa was accurately predicted to rapidly intensify before the storm even developed. We also have NOAA research. This is where the numerical weather prediction is developed. These are the folks that develop the models. We have the Hurricane Analysis and Forecast System, or HAFS, which is going to be our flagship model this year for cyclone intensity. They also work on cutting-edge development of instruments. This includes the drones and the gliders. We're now getting into the world of running artificial intelligence-based forecast models. This work's being developed there too, as well as the work at Hurricane Research Division, which advances our understanding of rapid intensification of these storms. We have the National Ocean Service, which develops the coastal and ocean models, obviously essential to understanding sea surface temperature and air-sea interaction. They also manage the ocean observing systems, ensure the waterways and the ports are open after a storm. We have NESDIS, the branch that handles NOAA satellites. We have geostationary satellites, which are the GOES, which you're probably familiar with the visible satellite imagery of these hurricanes, and also the infrared. But we also have low Earth orbiting satellites with JPSS. This is where the microwave sounders come in. This is the data that drives a lot of the numerical weather prediction models. We also have the Marine Aviation and Operations, as well as the NOAA Corps, the folks which you see here today. They're in charge of the ships, the planes, all the data collection, not just for hurricanes, but also fisheries management, among other things. Behind me, we have the two P3s, Kermit and Miss Piggy, celebrating their 50th anniversary of flying into storms. These are 8 to 10 hour flights. They have the tail Doppler radar, which you just heard about. They deploy dropsondes. We also have a high altitude jet, and we're bringing another 2 online here soon. These are the planes that fly over the storms and deploy instruments through the storms. All this data goes into the computer models to better generate our forecasts. I'm incredibly proud of the amazing work that these public servants do for our country. Okay, on to the numbers. For the Atlantic hurricane season, NOAA is predicting a below normal season for 2026, with roughly a 55% chance of being below normal, a 35% chance of near normal, and a 10% chance of above normal. This equates to 8 to 14 named storms with winds at or above 39 miles an hour. Of these, 3 to 6 hurricanes with winds at or above 74 miles an hour, and 1 to 3 major hurricanes, that's your category 3 to 5, with winds at or above 111 miles an hour. In the Central and Eastern Pacific, we're expecting a 70% chance of above normal activity. The Eastern Pacific, we're expecting 15 to 22 named storms, 9 to 14 hurricanes, chance, in addition to the warmer sea surface temperatures there. We have several new observing systems that we're bringing online this year. As you heard about earlier, we have uncrewed aircraft systems. We tested these over the last couple of years with Black Swift drones used operationally this year for the first time in the HAFS model. The tests that we ran in the experiments last year showed that the inclusion of this data from these drones increased the intensity forecast accuracy by roughly 10%. We also have uncrewed surface vehicles and submersible gliders. In addition to the observing systems, we're doing a lot of work on the modeling front. We're introducing an AI-based version of the GFS, as well as an AI global ensemble forecast system, the hybrid GEFS. We also have a new AI-based hurricane forecast model that we've developed in partnership with Google DeepMind, which we used experimentally in last year's hurricane season. There are also advances in the physics-based models. The Unified Forecast System has been testing an experimental high-resolution seasonal forecast system. We also have the Office of Water Prediction, which will be rolling out high-resolution flood inundation mapping, which couples to the hydrological forecast. This provides the emergency manager's visualization of predicted inundation at the street and neighborhood level. The Hurricane Center has some new communication products as well. They're implementing a new version of the forecast cone, which was tested last year. This cone includes tropical storm and hurricane watches and warnings in inland areas. We're also issuing new products and services in support of storm surge forecasting for the Hawaiian Islands. Lastly, the Hurricane Center is testing an experimental version of even a newer cone. Since 2007, the cone has been based on absolute track error, but this new experimental cone accounts for forward motion and directional or lateral uncertainty. This is a much better way to independently visualize uncertainty in both direction and timing. For the official forecast guidance, go to hurricanes.gov. June 1st is almost here. Be ready, have a plan, listen to your state and local emergency managers. Preparation is essential. You can learn more at ready.gov. For more on storm preparedness, I'll now welcome National Weather Service Director Ken Graham.
Thank you, Dr. Jacobs. Some great information there for everybody, and highlighting some big improvements going forward. So it's a very exciting time. So just thank you, and thank you, Admiral Carey, as well. So just saluting this incredible team behind us. And I just wanted to definitely echo what Dr. Jacobs said, just saluting the employees of NOAA, just an amazing group. I don't know, every day I seem to be more humbled to be at the helm of the Weather Service, and just looking at the whole crew here in blue and others supporting this mission. We can't do it without you, so just a big thank you. Great to be here at AOC. Just an amazing place, a lot of operations, but I definitely want to thank somebody that's here on stage. This is our lead seasonal hurricane forecaster, Matt Rosencrans. These numbers, right? They're just not, just generated by random. There's a lot of science that goes in to these numbers every single year. So I want to thank Matt and your team for everything that you've done, and also congratulate Matt, because this will be his last seasonal outlook, as he's going to our lab to train the next generation of Outlook scientists, which is absolutely amazing. So I'm glad to have him in the test bed training the next generation. So he's absolutely amazing, and he's here with his dad. His dad put your hand up there. So congratulate both of them here for such a great job and all these years of service. So seriously, being able to train the next generation is a huge thing. But on behalf of NOAA, the Weather Service, and quite frankly, the American people, thanks for your service. Just absolutely amazing amount of work over the years. So it's great to be here, and I really salute the aircraft operations folks. Wow. I got to fly in to Hurricane Helene, and one of these, I'm not sure which one behind me, I didn't look where they were parked, but it was an amazing experience, but just an incredible mission. Heroes, honestly. They go towards the storm so we can get people away from the storm. This is quite simple as that. So what you all do is just amazing. We can't do it without you. So we've never been more prepared for hurricane season as we are now. Dr. Jacobs highlighted some of the new models, the new technology, the service improvements. So it's absolutely amazing. Looking at the new cone for the National Hurricane Center, just saluting everyone there, always progressing, always going forward, just being able to have the inland effects, just the cone doesn't stop. The impacts don't stop at the coast. The impacts go way inland, and we've seen that over and over and over again, including most of the fatalities end up being inland as well. So as a result, looking at a cone that highlights all those inland threats is a big step forward for the public to understand what these threats are. And Dr. Jacobs also talked about the experimental cone. You almost got to retrain yourself a little bit, because we always talked about the last 5 years of error, and 67% of the time the center stays in the cone, 1/3 out. We've got to retrain ourselves. It's okay. So having this new cone, I think, is a big step forward to actually represent about 90% of the possibilities of where the center could be. I think is a big leap forward. So kudos to that new representation of it. I do want to announce as well, with the flood inundation mapping that Dr. Jacobs mentioned, by the end of September, we'll have 100% of the country covered. This was a long effort. And a lot of you in the media know this is a game changer, and I hear it from the states, I hear it from the counties, I hear it across the board, across the country. They said, hey, this is a game changer for us to be able to represent what could flood in a storm, or even a thunderstorm or a hurricane or whatever it may be. So that is a huge step forward. And you heard the forecast for the Pacific, so having those services for Hawaii for the first time ever, we're going to be able to issue storm surge watches and warnings for Hawaii, for most of the islands, the main islands of Hawaii, just like we do for the mainland, Puerto Rico as well, and the U.S. Virgin Islands. So that is a big leap forward as we really look at potential tropical surge flood mapping and all that for the Hawaiian Islands. So just really excited about that. The other tool that is new, and this one's exciting as well, getting some really good feedback on this one, it's the Urban Rain Rate Dashboard. So it's a new tool that we're really launching this year to look at urban areas, cities. There's 60 cities represented, and ahead of time you'll be able to see what the dangers are from flooding. Actually look at the information in those urban areas that are particularly dangerous for flash flooding, as the runoff isn't there, so you can get flash flooding really quick in these urban areas. So please check out all of these new products and services and everything into this season. It's exciting. So look, preparedness. We've got to do it early. I don't know, it's a nice day. Hangar doors are open. Now's the time to start thinking about your hurricane preparedness day. The sun is shining. Let's get it done. So early preparedness is absolutely everything, period, end of story. The actions that you take today really get you ready for the hurricane season. So we're ready, right? We're ready. So we need to get the American public ready as well. And don't let words like below or average, don't let all those words change the way you prepare. And Dr. Jacobs, you said it just takes one. And you go back in time, I can think of some of these. Betsy was a September storm in 1965, and Louisiana still talks about Betsy. You think about 1983 is an August storm, Alicia, still talking about Alicia. 1992, Andrew was an August storm as well. So even in below average, even if you have a few storms, they could be big ones. So we got to be ready. The other, I'm going to repeat this every single time I do this, is the fact that, I think not just officials, but the public thinks the big storms are going to come across the Atlantic. You're going to see them. You're going to have weeks' notice, plenty of time. That is not the case. And this stat hit me when I was at NAC. It hit me. I never forgot it, and it still hits me today. Looking back in time at our records, every Category 5 that's made landfall in this country was a tropical storm or less 3 days out. So they rapidly intensify, they get here quick. So everybody, you think you might have a week on your timeline. The reality is you may only have days. That's why that preparedness early is absolutely everything, and I will repeat that in this position, next position, retirement, I don't care what it is over the next 20 years. I'm going to keep repeating that stat constantly. The other one too is, especially a season like this, there'll never be a Hurricane Justa. We'll never make that a name. There's no such thing as just a Cat 1, just a tropical storm, just a Cat 2. That is absolutely not the case. It doesn't matter what it is. You got to look at the size, the forward motion. Little wiggles matter on the impacts. Even the smallest storm, if it's slow enough and big enough, is going to create catastrophic flooding and storm surge. All right? There's no such thing as Hurricane Justa. We've got to make sure the public pays attention to every single one of these systems and the actual impacts, not the category, not the name, but the actual impacts associated with that storm. And that includes the tornadoes, heavy rain, damaging winds, even the high surf and rip currents as well, including the storm surge. So flooding, we got to talk about flooding. I mean, we just got to keep repeating over and over the dangers of flooding. So you look at the last 10 years, over half of the deaths are flooding, and a lot of those are inland, and most of those are in vehicles. So we know what's causing the fatalities. So we've got to get the word out. We've got to get the preparedness out. We need everybody's help to be able to do that. So being able to look at where you live in a flood zone and be prepared for that, and where you got to go in the evacuations, getting ready, getting your home ready, looking at that evacuation plan. And I don't think the public totally realizes 6 inches of fast-moving water will knock you off your feet. 12 inches will carry most cars away. And even people that think I got some big, giant SUV, well, guess what? About a couple feet of water will wash that one away too. It doesn't matter. So we've got to keep reminding people of these things. Turn around, don't drown. We've got to keep reminding everybody of that. Develop that evacuation plan now. And I think the big thing is, please, you heard it already said by Dr. Jacobs, please listen to those local officials. A lot of people say they don't evacuate because they don't want to sit in the traffic or travel 200-300 miles, when the reality is they may only have to go 10 or 20, 30 miles inland. Please listen to the local officials. You have to understand what you have to do ahead of time and have that plan. Begin planning early and being able to do that. Check on your neighbors, check on your family. Make sure to have that preparedness kit for weeks ahead of time. Make sure you got days, if not a week, of supplies ahead of time. Right now there's no lines. Stock up. Stock up now. That's what I would do. It's a perfect time to go get that information. The non-perishable food, medicine. The last winter storm event really opened my eyes on something. There were a lot of fatalities for people that didn't account for medicine and dialysis. We have to remind people over and over, you're not going to have access to those things for a week or more after a storm. They have to be prepared for these things. So any special needs like that, we got to remind them, be ready, because those are preventable if we can get them ahead of time. And also make sure we account for the pets. Too many heartbreaking stories after these events, seeing the pets wandering around. Got to account for the pets going forward. So planning on no electricity for weeks. Make sure to have that, the radio, the flashlight, the NOAA weather radio, still the greatest tool. Have it. We got it. It'll alert you. It'll get the information when you need it. A couple of places to get information: the National Hurricane Center. Go to hurricanes.gov. Get the latest. That's part of the story, maybe the biggest. Have the latest information. That forecast changes. There's something called, there's an old term, when you look at the first forecast, you lock onto that. There's some social science that says that you can't lock onto that first forecast. You got to pay attention to it. It can change with time. So got to go to hurricanes.gov, get the latest. Go to weather.gov. The forecast offices across the country getting the information out going forward is huge. And also ready.gov. We'll hear more about that here in a little bit with FEMA. And listo.gov, para información sobre la tormenta en español. So there's information to get in Spanish as well for the Spanish-speaking community. Listen to those local officials, and I'm going to wrap this up. Look, even after the storm, it's still dangerous. I need the media's help.